In this video, we're going to talk about my Fujifilm lens lineup after 1 year with Fujifilm. Hi, my name is Thierry Gibraltar, an aspiring videographer and photographer based in Tokyo, Japan. And today we're going to talk about my Fujifilm lens lineup after 1 year of use. So first of all, before moving to the main topic of the video, I'd like to say a big thank you to the 305 of you now subscribed to the channel. Thank you very much for that. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel and you're interested in videos about Fujifilm gears, about street photography, food photography or product photography, and travel also, make sure to subscribe to the channel. With that out of the way, so let's move to the main topic of the video. So it's been a year now that that I chose the Fujifilm system. And after 1 year of experimenting, renting, buying, selling some lenses, I've arrived to a lineup that I feel like fit my needs at the moment. So today's video would basically be a video to share with you the lineup that I have, what has been my conclusion after 1 year. Alright, so first let's talk about the 16 to 55 millimeter that I am using right now to film this video. From 16 to 55 with an aperture, max aperture of 2.8, a great image quality. This lens is really a do-it-all. It's a Swiss Army knife. I initially bought it because I wanted to have a dedicated video lens with an ND filter on it. But I found myself using it more and more for every type of shot where I was not sure of the focal length that I wanted to use. And it brings you great versatility, great image quality, so you don't sacrifice any part of the image quality for the versatility that it can give you. And yeah, I find it that I'm using it a lot for food photography, for product photography, for videos, of course, because that's the only lens almost that I use with the X-T4 and the IBIS. So yeah, overall a great lens. So some people would say that this lens is a bit bulky. I don't think so, honestly. It's not small by any means. When you compare the size of the lens to the full frame equivalent, you still have a compact zoom lens that you can bring everywhere and that you can use in any kind of situation for most of your shoot. So yeah, that's definitely a lens that I do not regret buying at all, and I don't see myself selling anytime in the future. If you haven't seen the complete review on this lens, I invite you to click on the link up there. I believe that the review will provide you more extensive information about the lens. And give you more information if you're thinking about acquiring it. Okay, so the second lens that I want to talk about is this little lens right here. It's the 35mm f1.4. So for me, this is basically the almost perfect street lens. It's compact, not that expensive. And honestly, I mean, some people will tell you that they have a problem with the autofocus with this lens. I don't have such problem. The only thing that I don't like about this lens, and why? Because I use this lens mostly for street photography when I go out or when I want to document whenever I go traveling or hiking or whatever. I would bring this lens with me. The only thing that I don't like about this lens is the fact that it's not weather resistant. So I talked about it again in a review that I made of this lens compared to the f2 version. So once again, if you want to see the more detailed review, just click right here. This lens has great image quality, and that's why I chose it over the 35 f2, which was a bit, sometimes a bit soft, especially at f2. So this lens has great image quality, is portable, and is not that expensive. So I think it's a great choice of a lens. However, because it is not weather resistant, there is still some missing part here. And in fact, according to Fuji rumors, Fuji is supposed to release the 33mm f1.4 this year. So I'll definitely keep my eyes open for that one, because that would be maybe, I don't know, I need to try the lens first, an upgrade that I would like to consider for this particular lens and for the particular use case that I have for it. But overall, I don't have any problem with this lens, except from the weather resistant part, where sometimes I like shooting in the rain and shooting in some conditions that I would not try with this particular lens, because I don't want dust or rain or anything getting in my lens or my camera. The next lens that I want to talk about, it's the 16mm f1.4. So this lens has really particular characteristics, because it allows you to get really close to the subject while having a really wide point of view. And it can allow you to have really interesting shots. That's why it's one of my favorite lenses in the Fuji lineup. I use it mostly, well, when I go traveling for taking landscapes, or also in the streets in some particular cases. I just love this lens. And even if Fuji released the 18mm f1.4, I don't really see the point of upgrading or changing, because, well, it doesn't really bring anything new to me. Maybe except the focusing motors, but I don't have any problem with the focusing motors on this one. So I decided to keep the 16mm f1.4. It has great image quality, it has unique characteristics, as I just said, and I don't see myself selling it anytime soon. You can use this lens for, yeah, as I say, landscape, street photography, but also portrait, because it gives you some interesting point of view for environmental portrait. So again, I made a review for this lens, so if you want to know more about it, check out the review, the video right here. Alright, so the next lens that I want to talk about, it's the 60mm Macro f2.4. So I haven't talked much about this lens yet, because I acquired it about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I want to have some more time to test it, play with it, make sure that I know it a bit better before releasing a review. But honestly, I'm really impressed by this lens, because for my needs, meaning some product shoots, or some videos about like close-up on the lenses, or some food photography, this lens is more than enough. So it's not a true macro, because it has a factor of 1.2 and not 1.1, right? But it's enough for the needs that I have so far. Maybe one day I will look at the 80mm f2.8 macro. But right now, this f2.4 macro 60mm is more than enough for me. The image quality, well, it's sharp. I would say that the focusing motors, the focusing mechanism is not great, but when I tend to shoot in macro, I tend to use manual focus anyway. So it doesn't really matter to me if the focusing capabilities of this lens are out of the charts or not. Overall, for the price range of this lens, which is about $700 compared to the 80mm f2.8, which is like $1,200. Yeah, you have some macro capabilities that, in my opinion, is more than enough for most of the people that want to shoot product or food, right? If you want true macro, yeah, the 80mm is definitely what you should look at, but the 60mm, in my opinion, is more than enough for most of the people. Let me know in the comment if you want to know more about this lens and if I should release a review, by the way. All right, and finally, I want to talk about the 90mm f2. So this lens, I use it mostly for portraits. So I used to own the 56mm f1.2, which is a good lens. Don't get me wrong, it's a good lens, but somehow I felt like it was a bit soft at 1.2 and even higher. This lens is so sharp that, I don't know, when I compared the 90mm and the 56mm f1.2, it seemed to me that they were miles ahead in terms of sharpness. The image quality was, yeah, completely different to me. Also, when it comes to compression, I actually feel like it's more, how to say, aesthetic to shoot portrait with this particular lens compared to the 56. So that's why I didn't want to keep both lenses, and because I own the 60mm, owning a 56 and a 60 did not make much sense to me. So I sold my 56 f1.2 and I only kept the 90mm f2 for my portraits. So also, again, I haven't done a review yet for this lens because I want to have more shoots for portraits to be able to give my opinion on the lens. So let me know in the comment if you want to know more about the lens, and yeah, I'll make sure to drop a video about it. Alright, so that's it for today. So once again, this is my lineup. This is the lineup that I use because it fits my needs. It might not fit your need, but it was just a video to share a bit about the evolution of how I think, what I shoot over the past year. So yeah, let me know in the comment also what Fuji lenses you use. I'll be happy to exchange with you about why you made those choices, and if you have any question, also let me know in the comment. So that's it for today's video. Make sure, if you liked the video, to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Alright, see you guys.